I am a huge sap for any game where its musical content is a huge driving force in its progression. And I'm not talking about the simple and easy examples like any music-based rhythm matching game on the planet. I'm talking about when the music is designed and written as an integral and important part of the experience. I especially find it really effective when it's used for delivering narrative and conveying story progression to me, because that's what makes a really great musical score to any visual media. And what sort of music do I really dig? That perfect blend of mellow orchestral and symphonic tones with the raw grunginess and punch of hard rock and metal. And wouldn't you know it, there's a game out there that features such a type of music being used for such a narrative purpose. Allow me to introduce you to Karmaflow. And with a tagline such as the rock opera video game, how could I possibly say no? The Karmaflow project was initiated by composer Ivo van Dijk and a group of fellow students from Utrecht in the Netherlands in 2012, as an investigation into finding a new and unique way of delivering interactive stories through the medium of video games. Van Dijk, along with a group of talented musicians from the Dutch Metropole Orkest and from all across the heavy metal scene, plus a team of game designers making the studio Basecamp Games, eventually created Karmaflow, the rock opera video game. And this is really a case of exactly what it says in the tin here. Because in Karmaflow you get treated to an interactive rock opera told through a basic adventure game with simple puzzle elements. Our opening cutscene immediately impresses with its soundtrack and introduces us to the first of several stories in the game in a typically graceful and only slightly cryptic operatic style. The singing here is beautiful, but the guttural growls and screams that are also featured in music are just as beautiful in my books at least. It's after this cutscene where we are then presented with the Karma Keeper, our playable character in Karmaflow. His main power is the ability to extract what is known as karma from creatures and environmental objects. By the way, karma is just such a completely original name that it hurts. Oh god, ooh, that stings. And then infusing them into other objects to change the world around him and solve the puzzles he'll come across. He can also jump, double jump, dash, and later on gains the ability to glide and detect nearby objects depending on whether they are imbued with karma or not. But I did find it somewhat incongruous and strange that a character with no visible legs is able to jump around like this. I mean, he looks really good, don't get me wrong, but the removal of legs in this situation is a bit of a weird design choice if I'm honest. So let's take a look at this game's visual presentation for a moment. It looks very, and I mean very, reminiscent of something like Journey now, doesn't it? I wouldn't say that the game has straight ripped off the aesthetic choice here, but one can't help but notice the similarities if they have played Journey before playing this. But lots of deep purples, whites, muddy greens, and fog in the distance set up the world of Karmaflow as one that's cold, restless, and clearly under the influence of some ominous power. And so you find out as the first of many characters in the game known as Guardians is introduced to you. Each story that can be played in Karmaflow so far features two Guardian characters who are in some form of conflict with each other, usually due to a dark mystic force known as the Dissonance. And the Karma Keeper listens in to each side of the conflict as the narrative progresses. After successfully making your way through the world and meeting each Guardian, you then witness them coming to blows, sing beautifully to each other, and then it transpires that the fate of each Guardian rests on your shoulders as the Karma Keeper. Suddenly time freezes and you have the choice to aid either one of the Guardians by infusing them with or extracting their karma, and the result of your decision is played out thusly. This happens twice in each story so far, and indeed the outcome is different, but I would have liked each payoff more if they left a much bigger impact. Given that we don't spend a great deal of time with each Guardian, it's hard to form an understanding and meaningful feeling for them, and thus the decisions at the end don't seem all that impactful. But at least it gives us more awesome music and singing to listen to. I feel like people should be playing Karmaflow for the narrative and musical content, if anything, but as a game it does all of its major functions reasonably well. The karma mechanic is easy to get to grips with, there is very little penalty for death, and the only things that can kill you in this game are certain creatures and pitfalls, both of which simply send you back to your last activated checkpoint. Plus the addition of these data shards provides a little bit of replay value to the game, as well as some extra backstory and narrative to each story. Controlling the Karma Keeper may cause some small problems, especially when dealing with some of the more platforming-centric sections of the game. Coupled with the choices in character design, it might lead to some slight irritations. Additionally, Karmaflow isn't exactly the most well-built game in the market right now, as you can see in my footage. On very rare occasion, voice clips wouldn't load at all where expected. Activating a new checkpoint frequently caused a momentary freeze as it was loaded up, and sometimes I even got these status messages telling me that snow particle emitters were activated, and I guess I'm not supposed to see those. And as far as I found out, the game's initial launch was somewhat rushed and it wasn't optimized that well. The project also went through a failed Kickstarter campaign, but the fact that this game was still made and that Basecamp have in fact released update patches to iron out some of those bugs should speak volumes for this small development team. And I can forgive those errors when the music in this game has mesmerized me so much. The actual compositions themselves are great, and the way they're integrated into a dynamic system that adds layers of instruments and changes the riffs depending on your actions and what you accomplish is done really well, making all the transitions sound smooth and resolute. And seriously, how can I not like the music and all the performances when so many great and talented metal vocalists have lended their luscious tones to their characters in the game, such as Mark Jansen from Epica, Alyssa White Blues from Arch Enemy, and Mark fucking Hudson from Dragon Force. So yeah, I really like the music here. By the way, it was through Mark Hunter's Twitter account that I was able to find out about this game, so thanks for that one, Mark. The actual content and design choices for both the game and the music in Karmaflow may not be to everyone's tastes, and as a game, it is pretty basic and short, clocking in around 2 to 3 hours to finish what's currently on offer. But I have to say that it succeeded in its purpose of providing a sweet and enjoyable interactive experience, one that's rarely been attempted in the past. I personally think it's made opera somewhat cooler than it was before. The story's already been adapted for a real stage opera by most of the same team behind the game, and more game has been developed to be added on later. For you see, I've only shown you Act 1 of the game so far. That's because Act 2 is slated to come out sometime soon, as well as the official soundtrack to the game being released as well. So if the steep price on Steam is putting you off right now, take solace in the fact that if you decide to try out Karmaflow, you'll eventually get your money's worth, as the developers will be giving out Act 2 of the game and the soundtrack to everyone who buys Act 1. My recommendation for you is to dive in and give it a go if this appeals to you. See if you feel the Karmaflow. This has been one of my rapid rambles. Stay you and stay awesome. Also, I like to call this the I don't give a fuck walk. Just look at that strut. And a big supermassive hello to you all, thanks again for watching. Be sure to give a like and a favourite if you enjoyed the video, and if you really liked it and you want more, go see a couple of my other recent videos by clicking the links here, and also consider subscribing to The Richaado Show so you can be among the first to see new content as and when it's ready. Thanks again, and I will see you guys later on.